Welcome to the Fantasy Syndicate Podcast with your hosts Joshua Poniatowski and Alex Taylor. Let's talk football.
Hello, and welcome to the Fantasy Syndicate Podcast. My name is Josh, and Alex is with me, as always. What's going on, Alex?
Hey, you get a little change up in the word in there. Kept keeping me on my
up.
toes. I like it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be going over Week 5 recaps, talking about waiver wire ads, buy low, sell high, all the good stuff. But before we do that, Alex has some random notes for us about just some information I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, first off, what you got. Praise be to the bye weeks. A little bit less research and data we had to go comb through. It was a little nicer. Only 14 games. But, man, it was a bloodbath out there this week. 8 of the 14 games, the underdog won. A lot of big upsets. My survivor pool died. I'm sure a lot of other people's survivor pools died this week. The big news, obviously, Joe Flacco getting traded to the Cincinnati Bengals. We can all finally get off the Jake Browning ride. That's been pretty terrible. I know we'll dive into that a little bit later once we kind of get to that Bengals and Browns side of things. So 3 wide receivers have led their team in receiving yards every week so far this year. They are JSN, Garrett Wilson, and the rookie Tedero McMillan. So just a little something to kind of keep an eye on. All 3 guys playing really good. Fox News is currently reporting that the Baltimore Ravens are open to possibly trading away Mark Andrews. Obviously, Isaiah Likely stock would go through the moon if that happens. But until we actually see some reports, it's just hearsay at the moment. Just a couple fast starts to kind of watch out for. Matthew Stafford is currently on pace for cracking 5,000 passing yards, which is obviously a huge milestone. It would be the second time of his career. He did it once back in 2011 with the Detroit Lions. Okay. Mecca, my boy, is currently averaging 18 points per game in half PPR, which would top Randy Moss's insane rookie season record of 16.8 if he can hold out for the rest of the season. Obviously he's at a hot start, but we got no Mike Evans yet, or not the whole season, and not with Chris Godwin back fully going after it. So we'll see what happens there. But another big one that I think is kind of likely to happen is Jake Ferguson is currently on pace for 139 receptions on the season, which would break the tight end record set by Zach Ertz of 116. And he's also on pace for second in targets. So I think that seems pretty likely. I don't know about you, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about Turd for a couple weeks ago. Guy to own. He's been getting Trey McBride level targets, and he's scoring touchdowns because he has Dak and the Dallas offense supporting him. But they're going to continue to throw at a high rate. I don't think CD impacts him that much. It's an interesting record. We'll see what actually happens. You got to stay healthy all year. The way the injury's been going, I don't know if that's possible for anybody. But rolling into the first Thursday night game, San Francisco 49ers versus the Los Angeles Rams. The Niners and Mac Jones, one-legged Mac Jones, just gets it done again in a close one. If you bet against the Niners and you started the Rams defense thinking, oh, they're playing bench guys, one-legged Mac Jones, just stop betting against the Niners. Kyle Shanahan is an absolute mastermind. And I've heard a lot of talk about Brock Purdy being a system quarterback. And honestly, the entire time any quarterback has ever been in the Niners system. He's a system quarterback. Like, that's what ends up happening. And that's the language. Alex, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about some guys and seeing who these guys are. And then I'll kind of make my point at the end. Okay. I want you to tell me, what is the name of a wide receiver?
Do you know ball segment or something like that?
No, I mean, it's just a fun little question. Yeah. You'll know some of these. You might not know all of them. It's not a big deal. But what is the name of a wide receiver who hadn't broken 450 receiving yards in their career the first 3 years, and then they became a wide receiver 2 and eventually wide receiver 1 due to injuries and put up 900 yards, 70 receptions, and 6 touchdowns in 2024 on the Niners? What was the name of that player?
I don't know.
No. So,
Juwan?
Yes, Juwan Jennings. So right, 900 yards, 70 receptions, 6 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yes, Juwan. All right. What's the name of a second-year wide receiver on the Niners this year who was elevated to a wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 role in the last five games? He was also shot. Yep. In that role, he's averaging 6 receptions a game, 98 yards, and 0.4 touchdowns, which is 31 receptions, 500 yards, and 2 touchdowns in 5 games. Who is that guy?
Ricky Pearsall is having a great year so far.
Ricky Pearsall. Yeah. You absolutely got it. Also last year when he was elevated to that role. What is the name of the wide receiver who played 9 years in the league, And last week, he broke his all-time receptions and receiving yards in a game by putting up 10 receptions, 142 yards, being elevated to wide receiver 1. Who was that?
It was Bourne. Yeah, I started him in the league. It was great.
Absolutely. Kendrick Bourne. What's the name of a backup running back who was placed into the running back 1 role and averaged over 100 yards on the ground and multiple touchdowns as a starter in 2024?
In 2024?
This one might be a little bit harder.
Jordan Mason.
On the Niners. Jordan Mason. Crazy. What's the name of a third-string running back who, when placed in the running back 1 role, averaged over 100 all-purpose yards
all the Niners
per game? That role.
Right.
Yes. I got one
all
more.
Right, I missed some of it because
It was Isaac Guerrero. That's who it was. Third-string running back, ended up being running back 1. And then last, who has been the most electric, the best looking, the elite level tight end replacement on the Niners since week 2, who is 7th
Tounges,
in tight end receptions, 13th in tight end yards, and 8th in tight end touchdowns. And he's also 9th overall in tight end fantasy points. So my whole point is, if Brock Purdy is a system quarterback, then George Kittle, Brandon Aiyuk, Deebo Samuel, CMC, and every other player who has ever played on the Niners and put up elite stats is a system running back, a system wide receiver, and a system tight end. Well, if we're making the case for Purdy,
that's why I was low on Jordan Mason on the Vikings, because I didn't think he'd be good outside the system. And that's why I was like, I mean, CMC, I didn't even think they needed CMC, but he has been insane with them. I just didn't feel like they have a long history of having great running backs every year, and they're always just like random scrubs because they're always getting hurt because they have the worst medical team in the league.
So, and anyways, if Kittle, CMC, all the guys, if a Niner is on that team, he's a system guy. Always. That's my case.
Well, yeah, the coach is the whole system. Obviously, the coaches are just like
why is that a bad thing? Y'all talk about it like it's a terrible thing.
I just don't think Brock Purdy's worth $50 million a year.
I mean,
you kind of had to pay him. You kind of had to pay him because they're paying him so little before that. It was kind of almost like you kind of had to throw him a bone. Like I get it. I just don't think he's a $50 million a year quarterback. But
getting back to the waiver wire, yes. Ricky and Juwan, if they're still injured, Kendrick Bourne needs to be rostered. That's the takeaway from that. If any running back or wide receiver that is on the Niners that goes into a wide receiver 1 or running back 1 role needs to be rostered and started.
Always viable.
Yes, always viable. Absolutely.
All right, switch to the next game. Vikings, Cleveland. The Vikings European tour continued. They had Ireland last week, England this week. They pulled out the win over the Browns in Dylan Gabriel's first career start. Gabriel looked okay. I mean, 190 yards, 2 scores. He didn't really push the ball down the field very much, just kind of taking the underneath stuff that was there. But he did enough to make the Browns pass catcher seem viable. Judkins with another 25 opportunities. He's just a bona fide RB2 at this point. Wentz and JJ do seem to have a pretty great connection. Their last 2 games together, 17 catches on 22 targets for 249. JJ, though, hasn't had a touchdown since week 1, so I would actually maybe start poking around, see if maybe you can buy low on him just due to that lack of touchdowns.
Gabriel targeted 40% of his passes went to tight ends. Njoku was 28% first target reads. The order went Njoku, Fannin, Isaiah Bond, by the way, and then Jerry Jeudy. As time goes on, it'll be interesting to see who he hones in on, but if you're an Njoku owner, that's got to feel optimistic. Talking about Justin Jefferson. So I went back and I said, all right, let's look at Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson since week 13 last year. And I said, all right, how many points have they scored? And what is the point difference? Because we value JJ way up here. And Jordan Addison is honestly probably looked at like a low end wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 some weeks. Well, Jordan Addison has only scored less than 12 points in half PPR scoring in that time. 158 to 146. The takeaway for me here is go out and buy Jordan Addison.
Okay.
I went through and I looked at individual games. I was like, all right, was it just him popping off crazy games and like up and down weeks? Nope, not really. 1 week, JJ scored 5 more points than Addison. Another week, 4 more points. Then a week, Addison scored 2 more than JJ. There was 1 week where JJ scored 19 more points than Addison, where he put up 31 though, and Addison was still a viable wide receiver 2. Then JJ scored 6 more points than Addison. Addison scored 6 more points than JJ. They are very close when it comes to fantasy production. I think they should be valued a little bit closer. JJ's obviously elite, but Addison just seems like a very viable wide receiver in fantasy.
Viable is good player, but seems to be a little bit of a headache. I don't know if you heard, he actually was benched for the first quarter of that game because of like team decision. So it's like no one really knows, but obviously he was doing something. And that's just kind of been a little bit of his case his whole career. He's always just getting into something, it seems like. So I don't know.
He came out and still scored a touchdown, won the game for them at the end, and had a fantasy performance of like 12 to 15 points. I think he only scored 5 less than JJ or somewhere around there.
He's kind of like a cheaper, maybe like same tier as like a George Pickens, like just a little bit of a head case. Great when he's on the field, working well as a number 2. Like you wouldn't really want him probably as your number 1.
Right. But
on a real team, you know what I'm saying? But or fantasy.
I like him as a buy low, the way people are evaluating him from a perspective, but he always gets it done in fantasy. Moving over to the Houston Texans versus Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens just appear to be cooked after that game. Derrick Henry is probably a little cooked too. So is Zay Flowers, just by comparison, at least until Lamar gets back. The good news is, though, is that the 5 starters on the Ravens on defense, including Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton, should be coming back soon, maybe in the next week or two. With Lamar coming back in the next couple weeks as well, their defense should get much better. So I think there's hope for the King. It's probably not going to happen in the coming weeks with Lamar out and with those defensive guys out. I'm looking at the King as a buy candidate over the next 2 weeks if a manager is giving up on him. I'm not overpaying, but I think there's value to be had there personally, and I like him later in the stretch with defense.
Down the stretch is when the King always comes alive. Like, he loves it in the cold. He loves it down the stretch. He always gets going. He likes to run downhill. So, I mean, agreed. The shine is a little bit worn off just because of losing Lamar, but I do still like his value overall.
Yeah. Moving over to Houston, Nick Chubb and Woody Marks. This was a big one. Everybody, including myself, was in on Woody last week. It was great to see him pop off, but the usage was just frustrating. His usage actually went down. And the crazy part is the coaches were like, yeah, I'm excited to see how much we can get this kid involved and how much usage. Like, what a bunch of liars about the whole situation. And then they come out after the game because somebody asked him about Woody. And he was like, well, yeah, it's going to be script dependent and how the game's going. Like, what the heck, man? All I'm saying is hold on to Woody. He's still electric. He still has the potential to be a 3-down back. But with Chubb around and the way the coaching staff, I'm viewing this as like a frustrating Henderson and Ramondre type of situation and moving forward. But he's still worth a roster for sure. And then Nico Collins honestly just continues to be underwhelming and underperforming his wide receiver 1 expectations that everybody thought.
Yeah.
The Texans have a top in the league 41% pressure rate, which is impacting the passing game. Moving forward, honestly, I'm viewing Nico as a wide receiver 2, and I'd be willing to trade him if people are still valuing him at a wide receiver 1 potential. If I can get Davante Adams straight up and just trade him, I'm going for that in that situation. So, yeah.
I mean, he's only averaging 7 targets a game. You know, for a guy who you're taking to be like this like alpha receiver, that's just not enough. And the Texans are also on bye this week, so it's kind of a hard sell too. It's like, hey, take this not as cool Nico that's on bye. It's kind of a rough time to sell him, but get what you can get, I guess. Switching over next game, we got the Dolphins versus the Panthers. Man, the Dolphins squandered a 17-point lead to the Bryce Young-led Panthers. Like, what is happening down there in Miami? Jalen Waddle looked great in his first game without Tyreek, 110 yards on the score. Jalen looked good on the receiving side of things, but then he only had 10 carries for 16 yards, which is kind of scary. But that whole Miami team only had 19 yards on the ground. We've lost the days of Achane and Mostert just running for like 300 yards and like six touchdowns a game. But I'm just going to chalk it up to a bad outing and assume he kind of figures it out next week versus the Chargers, who are allowing 121 yards a game. For the Panthers side, Nico Dowdle. Wow. With one of the best spot start fill-ins of all time. 234 total yards. Just went absolutely berserk out there. Chuba Hubbard owners have to just be in shambles. There is no way he does not concede touches to Rico even when he comes back. Miami has given up the most rushing yards in the league, so I'm not getting too carried away here. But next week, if Chuba is still out against a porous Cowboys defense, which would also be a revenge game for Rico. He was there last year, so I think he still could have RB2 value again next week.
Oh, man, he is an absolute smash start next week. Chuba's probably going to still be out with the injury, and as a Rico owner, it's felt pretty good having him in my lineup and putting up that massive 30 spot. But for Miami, Darren Waller, he actually lined up as a wide receiver, just like he did in week 1 that we saw, more than tight end. He seems to just keep getting it done. If you need tight end help and you're just like, all right, let me get a guy to spot start, I could see Waller just being that guy if you wanted him to, until something changes, right? I mean, he's getting it done. I think Jalen Waddle needs to be traded for. It's only been 1 week. The sample size is very small, but he saw 35% first read, 25% team target share. He gets Cincy and the Bucks in week 16 and 17. He's a guy for me I'll be targeting, and I'm viewing him as a wide receiver 2 moving forward with one receiver 1 upside based on how the game goes. So I like him. Las Vegas Raiders versus Indianapolis Colts. Jack Beck and Deontay Thornton, the 6'5", massive wide receiver, they were actually interchangeable in the wide receiver 3 sets, which honestly was something new that we saw this week. Trey Tucker ran 90% of the routes with Jacoby Myers, and he should be looked at personally as a viable wide receiver in PPR formats. And in half PPR, he's probably viable with Brock out. But since week 2, he has been on par with Jacoby Myers in first read targets and team target share. These two are kind of interchangeable in that offense. Brock Bowers, everybody, of course, is freaking out, especially with round 2 draft capital, but he has been injured. PCL injury, bone bruise. I know, man, it's tough to see. Honestly, based on the severity of the bone bruise, he might be dealing with this for a couple more weeks, but you got to expect a bounce back, especially in a terrible Raiders team who's going to be passing a lot. Once he's fully healthy, he should be that tight end 1 that we hope him to be. I'm looking to buy him at a discount if I can. And then Ashton Genty snap count dropped to around 50% in week 5, which a lot of managers are probably like, oh my gosh, what is happening? But it literally only happened because they were down 20-3 at halftime. The start of the game, he saw 28 of the 29 snaps. So the unfortunate thing, if they keep getting blown out, this could continue to hurt Genty's upside, but if they can stay in any types of games, Genty's just a huge opportunity kind of guy. So, yeah.
Well, the problem is just Geno and the Raiders O-line have just been so bad for that offense.
Yeah.
It's been rough, tough sledding. So you're never really gonna have much confidence kind of starting into those playmakers. On the Colts side of things, I mean, obviously JT popped off, but also just a really balanced passing attack coming out of Indiana Jones. Pittman, Downs, and Warren all scoring in the double digits for half PPR. Moving over next game, got the Giants versus the Saints. Jackson Dart got rattled by the Rattler. The Saints came out on top to win their first game of the season. Nobody thought they would win anything this year because they are so terrible, but the Giants proved that they could be worse. Dart has had over 50 rushing yards in both of his starts so far and is currently an averaging QB 14 over that span. The rushing of over 50 yards is actually higher than any other quarterback in the league, more than Hurts, more than Josh Allen. They're all in the 40s. So kind of a surprising aspect of Dart's game. So he's got a decent floor there for anyone that needs some QB help in probably a super flex league. In 1 QB leagues, I'm probably not really diving into Dart unless he just bye week fill in. You just need somebody. He spread the ball around a bunch, 4 receivers with at least 6 targets. Other than Scatabo, though, I'm probably not starting anybody on the Giants team. Over on the Saints side, Kamara looked great in the first half and then just completely disappeared. All 6 of his targets came in the first half, 0 in the second half. He also saw his lowest snap percentage of the season at 56. In a game where the Saints were actually leading, you'd think that'd be like the one-time game script would be on his side as the main running back. But Kendre Miller has had 11 opportunities in back-to-back games. And has seen his snap count creep up there. Olave with another 11 targets. That guy's just screaming value. But yeah.
I'm not sure there's much I can add to that. The Saints are 1-4. They're going to continue to lose. Kamara maybe will be traded, maybe not. Again, we don't really know about the situation, but potentially there. So that makes Kendre Miller valuable. Maybe Kamara valuable a little bit later. Also, Theo Johnson. Don't forget about that tight end who has a clear connection with Dart. Having anybody on the Giants outside of Scat, I get probably not a great confident, but if you need a tight end plug in late, there's been a connection there with Dart and him over these past couple weeks. Again, Giants tight ends. Take it with a grain of salt. Moving over to the Cowboys versus the Jets. The Dallas game was very game script dependent because the Jets literally could not do anything until late in the game. It's like they just can't figure out that Garrett Wilson is their best option. And they're like, you know what? I'm not going to pass to him until third, fourth quarter when we're down by 20 points. But
when everyone starts to freak out about they're looking at their fantasy rosters. Oh my God,
it's just,
I fell for it again.
Like, what the heck? Like, pay it, like, feed your best receiver. Talking about Dallas, Jake Ferguson, we shared this a little bit early. He is better than Trey McBride simply because he has Dak. He's the tight end to own. Even with CD coming back, I still think he's going to be a great and dominant top 5 tight end rest of season. Monte Williams is now running back 3 in fantasy scoring through 5 weeks. Who would have ever thought we said that? He continues to dominate with very minimal competition.
Can I ask regarding the Dallas Cowboys, what exactly is a Ryan Flournoy and how does it randomly get 114 yards? I don't know. That was just one of the most random things I've ever seen. I was like, who is this person? Why does he have all this?
It's the Dallas Cowboy high octane offense and a guy being on the field and finally getting targeted, right? That's all it is. Moving over to the Jets, though, Breece Hall didn't see an increase in usage like we honestly thought he would because Isaiah Davis slotted into almost all 3rd down and 2-minute drills work. But I'm still labeling him as a high-end running back 2 with running back 1 rest of season upside. Regardless of that situation, Mason Taylor has emerged as Fields' number 2 target since the coaching staff came out and said, hey, we need to get this rookie more involved. Over the past 2 weeks, he has seen 26% team target share, 25% first read targets, only behind Garrett Wilson. He will probably continue to be garbage time dependent, just like really everybody else on this team, unless they just start making connections early. If he's on waivers, he needs to be rostered. And Justin Fields. This is a surprising stat. So he has over 900 yards and 8 touchdowns and 0 interceptions through 5 weeks. I will continue to label him as a quarterback 1 rest of the season. There's probably going to be a bust game in there every once in a while, but I mean, his just upside is crazy.
It's just bust like quarter by quarter. He's got to be the most like brutal quarterback to watch. I mean, he had like 3 points at like halftime last week, and then boom, finishes with 26. I was like, where did this come from? Breece also lost a fumble kind of right before half, so I think that might have played a part in why Isaiah Davis was able to sneak in there and get so many touches. So we have waiver wire, obviously, Justin Fields and Mason Taylor, we kind of talked about a little bit there. Moving to our next game, we got the Broncos at the Eagles. I mean, the vibes in Philly just continue to get weird. The Eagles had a 17-3 lead going into the 4th quarter and blew it. Saquon saved his day with a 47-yard receiving touchdown, but he only saw 9 opportunities on the day, which is just wild. I don't know if maybe the coaches saw everyone talking this offseason about Saquon's insane usage last year that they decided to just do the complete opposite this year. I mean, he's averaging 4 opportunities a game less than last year. Revenge game against the Giants, though, this week. Look out for that. I'm thinking they need to go out and blow out the Giants by 30 just to get everyone to chill out. AJ Brown, just everybody.
Yeah.
On the Broncos side, the most interesting aspect was RJ Harvey actually slipping all the way down to only 20% of snaps. I mean, Dobbins has been playing great, but to see Harvey his role just completely vanish was kind of shocking.
Yeah. I mean, before I get into Harvey, Courtland Sutton needs to continue to be viewed as a high-end wide receiver 2 with wide receiver upside. Again, if you can get him, somebody that's not high on him, please go out and buy him. While it wasn't a great showing for RJ or even Troy Franklin, I think both need to stay rostered in your league because there is potential there. Harvey needs to be on your roster till week 17 when you're in the championship. Personally, I do not care if the backfield doesn't change for him. He needs to be there because his upside, they're letting 3 yards on average, the offensive line before their running back is touched. Give me a break. Anybody in that backfield is going to be successful. Hold on to Harvey. Moving over to the Tennessee Titans versus Arizona Cardinals. Calvin Ridley finally broke out with 100 yards, and the Titans found life. They actually won a game. I'm so surprised. This game was just all around insanity, but I'm not buying this, okay? I'm not buying in on this baloney for the Titans. If you have Ridley, sell him for anything you could get. This is a Titans offense still that should continue to be just garbage, and I don't want any of these players. Sell. That's my opinion on the Titans. As far as Arizona goes, Trey McBride's fantasy production has been abysmal, especially with his draft capital. This is my tight end 1 guy. I'm still confident about his tight end 1 production. He is seeing majority of first read, team target share, literally all the stuff that we want, but it's not resulting into anything fantasy relevant because Arizona is 30th in the league in passing yards a game with only 170. And even with 2 hurt running backs, they're top 12 in rushing yards a game. As a McBride owner, you need to hold him, but if you believe in him like I do, go out and buy him. Michael Carter is the clear running back 1 and slotted into James Conner role. Amari DiMarcardo was still the third down 2-minute drill guy. Zavonia Knight also saw some opportunities. Yeah, so if there was someone to own right now, it's obviously Michael Carter at the position.
I mean, considering how Coach Gannon was talking to DeMarcado on the sideline, just like freaking out on him after that big fumble, I'd be surprised if he isn't traded for scraps in the next 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, they were not happy with him. The coach did come out and was like, I am sorry. I probably shouldn't have done that. Overreacted. So he did apologize and he shared the media, but it makes sense. When you drop a 76-yard touchdown, if he scores again this year, he might be an anytime touchdown bet because they might just put him in to give him some confidence. If I had the ball and I was him, I am running through the back of the end zone and not letting that ball go and then taking it back to the bench with me.
It's like, that's what I'm doing. Still happening. We have a couple of these a year and they're all over the internet. It's like, crazy. How do these people not see it? I don't know.
Yeah.
But switching over, Bucks, Seahawks. What can't Baker do, baby? Woo! I mean, both defenses just could not stop a thing on Sunday, which made for some juicy fantasy performances. Rashad White was a bit inefficient on the ground, only getting 2.9 per carry, but he got all the goal line work and scored twice. So proving that as long as Bucky is out, he is a viable RB2. I thought we would see a bit more Sean Tucker, but he only saw 6 opportunities on 21% of snaps. Kind of a non-factor. Mecca still blazing his path towards an Offensive Rookie of the Year award. The young buck just keeps getting it done.
Oh, young buck!
For
I see
Seattle.
What you did there.
I mean, Darnold's performance gets kind of overshadowed just because of the loss and everything else going on. But he threw for 4 touchdowns and 341 yards. Finished as QB2 this week. Sharby and KW3, Kenneth Walker, back to their completely even split that we know they'd love to do. Both backs seeing 11 opportunities. AJ Barner with a surprise tight end 1 finish this week, but 2 scores. Honestly, though, the Bucks have been really terrible at guarding tight ends for a while now. We've seen a lot of tight ends have their best week of the season against the Bucks. So, but he does have the 4 touchdowns on the year, so possible risky tight end stream option for you.
The Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet situation is so frustrating because you watch Kenneth Walker run them all the way down the field, and then they're like, Sharp, come on, tapping you in. Let's get this touchdown.
Plot into the end zone.
Yeah, and then he just scores a touchdown. So as an owner, that's super frustrating. Talking about Bucky, though, Alex actually texted me about this, but Bucky posted a heartfelt message on Instagram a couple of days ago. And for me, this is just a little strange for a running back who's supposed to be out 2 to 3 weeks. Why post this heartfelt message about overcoming struggle and challenges? And if you're not going to be out for 2 weeks and you're coming back, come on, bro. So it worries me because the shoulder injury, if he chipped a bone or something happened in that shoulder, it's not like you use your shoulder as a running back at all, ever, every play. But if something happened and he has to go into surgery, that is worrisome. And that context clue, if I'm a Bucky owner, I'm seeing that. I'm probably going to try to sell Bucky. It's probably not a great bet, but you should be able to get a running back 1 equivalent. That's where I'm standing right now with Bucky anyway.
He had another kind of
feel about that?
He had another kind of awkward Instagram post today, like a couple hours ago.
Oh, I didn't see it.
It was just a picture of Teddy Bridgewater, obviously our backup quarterback, and it just has like, I love you. Like over the picture. It was just kind of weird. I don't know. I mean, I was just on the Bucks Reddit page, and people were like, "What is happening?"
Yeah,
he's probably hopped up on like painkillers,
and maybe he's got some. Yeah, he's got some stuff.
And then like I'm sure like Ted Bridgewater's like a fantastic human. So he probably was like giving him like a pep talk and be like, "You got this, bud." And he's just like,
right.
Loopy on painkillers and just like, I love that man. I don't know. It was just, I'm a little uncertain about what Bucky's status is.
Detroit Lions versus Cincinnati Bengals. Isaac Tesla, he has officially become the wide receiver 3. He played 88% of 3 wide receiver sets. He is the wide receiver handcuff to own in deep leagues, of course.
Wide receiver handcuff.
Wide receiver handcuff. People continue to believe that the Detroit backfield is a split when it is not. Gibbs saw 71% of the offensive snaps until the Lions went up by 28 points. At that point, Monty came in, dominated backfield usage. Monty is also from Cincy. His family was at the game, so there's totally going to get him involved. I'm still a Gibbs truther. It's very unlikely you're going to get him for any type of discount, but if you can, because people are continuing to be worried about the split, I'm saying going out and get him.
I mean, your boy Tesla currently has in this game had as many targets as Jameson Williams, which was 1. So I think I'm getting a little worried about Jamo, but the Lions were up 28-3 pretty early in the third. I just don't think they needed it. It was a pretty bad game script for him. But I think he only has 1 boom game and 4 bust games. So J-Bo's looking a little rough, but it's going to be one of those things where it's like as soon as you drop him or as soon as you trade him away, he's probably just going to turn on and heat up and just finish fantastically. But
go crazy. That 1 target from Tesla, by the way, was in the end zone, and it was a touchdown.
Ooh.
Just saying. With the Bengals, all right, I have been able to take a breath about Chase Brown in this situation, and I am feeling a little bit more optimistic about it. I was very emotional these past couple weeks as a Chase Brown truther. I'm just going to be honest. The emotions got the best of me. He is no way a running back 1 anymore, so that is just off the table because of this offensive line. But I am still valuing him as a running back 2 after this week. Since Burrow has been injured, he has played the Vikings, Denver, Detroit, and he has Green Bay this week.
Yeah.
After that, he has Pittsburgh, Jets, Bears, and Ravens. Their schedule is just a million times easier from a defensive perspective. Brown is still seeing a massive 90 to 95 to 100% of the opportunities. He has the role. At this point, you just got to ride the storm out. The greener pastures ahead is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, yeah, because right now they have the elite Joe Flacco at quarterback coming in.
That's true.
But honestly, I mean, he gives them a boost. Now, I'm not freaking out about Joe Flacco. I mean, he's closer lower to Browning than he is up to the top of Burrow. He's kind of in the middle below.
Burrow's a Hall of Fame quarterback right now, though. That's a hard comparison to make. All right,
but he was literally. I mean, did they even ask him if he want to be traded? Could he just be like, "Let me go back to a couch"? I mean, he's on a couch 2 years ago, and then now he's just getting ping pong at a beach ball and Nickelback concert,
I think he actually was went to Cleveland because that's where he has a house, I think, and has roots and was all right. I'm gonna ride a year out here. I mean, he's probably not happy about the situation, I'd imagine.
I mean, I guess it's like Cincinnati. How far is the drive from Cincinnati to Cleveland? It's not that tough of a move, I get it. I don't really know my Ohio geography that well.
I don't either. Let me look it up real quick. Okay, go for it.
Commanders versus Chargers. Herbert and the Chargers were basically just outclassed pretty much from the start. I mean, they did technically score the first session, but after that, it was all commies for the next couple quarters. The big news from this game, though, is the electric rookie running back Omarion Hampton has been placed on IR with an ankle injury. Early reports think it should just be the minimum 4 weeks, and he comes back fresh. But if you're in need of some wins, I understand having to trade him away because you're desperate. But ideally, you should try to hold and get him back for a late playoff push. For the Commanders, Bill, preseason hype king, finally broke out. 150 all-purpose, 2 scores. His 47% snaps was a career high. He's got Bears and then Cowboys next, who are both in the top 10 for giving up rushing yards. So juicy matchups ahead. So, I mean, Bill's kind of finally doing what we thought Bill might do.
Obviously, I think Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt, by the way, who likes to go by Bill, for some of you that don't know, could be rostered. But I'm not willing to just get too crazy over this just yet, all right? We literally just saw the same thing happen with Woody Marks last week. We all got burned. He does have 2 very juicy matchups. I looked at his snap count. He's still in the Brian Robinson Jr. role with early down and short yardage work. He still only saw 54% of the running back snaps. He's a low-end running back 2/flex for me. But with these matchups, he might be elevated a little bit. Again, you need running back help. It is great to have Bill on your team. So let's just pull back just a little bit of this insanity upside that we're seeing from the hype because we've just been waiting for it for the beginning of the season. Maybe he's a fantasy sell candidate, especially after a week of elite opportunities this week and then maybe next week from points. You get rid of him now, or you could try to wait and try to milk even more from him. That's where I'm at with Bill anyway. And I looked up the distance. It is 4 hours from the stadium, from Brown Stadium to Cincinnati. Now, I don't
Probably
know if that's
200
a
something,
good thing,
250
though.
miles.
Yeah, I feel like that's a worse thing because now he's probably going to be like, all right, I'm going to commute there. I'm not moving. I'm going to commute. And now he's driving back and forth for what, Sundays? Is he going to camp every day? What does this situation look like? Moving his family out there? Dude,
little PJs, little PJ trips,
40 something
trips, little pop in, pop out kind of thing.
All right, okay. I forget. Yeah, rich people can do that kind of stuff. My bad. You're 100% right. They're gonna be taking. I'm thinking
like a normie.
Like a normal poverty type of person that would need to drive and sit in traffic for hours. God.
If anything, you probably could negotiate and be like, Bengals, just fly me in every day. And they'd be like, okay, fine, yeah, we'll do it.
Every single day you were flying me in. I want that a part of my trade. I keep forgetting. Yes, they're rich. My bad. $1 billion company here. Moving over to New England versus the Bills, though. The Bills just continue to spread the love, the passing offense all over the place. Dalton Kincaid just continues to get it done as a tight end in this offense. If I am a Kincaid owner, though, I am selling right now to try to upgrade at tight end or even upgrade another position in a 2-for-1. If I have Kincaid, I'm taking him, maybe a wide receiver 3, low end wide receiver 2 range, and packaging him to try to upgrade a different position. He has found the end zone in 3 of the last 5 weeks. He put up 100 yards last week. And honestly, because of the way his usage is, he's only running 55% of the routes on a drop back, which is 25th in the NFL in tight ends. I just don't think this is sustainable on this offense. I'm looking elsewhere and trying to ship them.
Yeah, I mean, they have Falcons this week who've given up the least passing yards per game in the NFL, and then a bye week. So his value from now versus in 2 weeks could be very different. So if you wanted to ship him, I think now would be the time to.
James Cook saw a down game, but I'm zero worried about this whole situation. This is a freak outing. I doubt it's going to duplicate. You could try to buy him right now. I doubt the owner would be biting, but if for some reason they're a little bit crazier, then yeah, go get them, buy them. Patriots, Vrabel just refuses to play Henderson, even though he is the better back that we all see. He might be starting to feel a little bit of pressure right now from the media and fans and everybody. Why are you not starting this man? Ramondre fumbled again, but it doesn't matter. Ramondre just casts a spell on Vrabel, and he's like, bro, you forget about what I just did. He does a little Men in Black, like, bloop, bloop. You didn't see that? And then he just goes back in there, and they give him 2 goal line opportunities and 2 touchdowns. Give me a break, which is gross. But hold on to Henderson. Don't send him. Don't drop him. Hold on to Henderson.
I mean, and the third back, Antonio Gibson, just went down with an ACL injury. I mean, he was averaging 6 opportunities over the last 4 weeks. So, I mean, even if Hendrick, all he can do is just snag up all those 6 plus what he was getting, he could then maybe touch flex territory. But yeah, obviously we're all waiting for him to move Stevenson aside, but it just hasn't happened.
The pop-off is imminent, I feel like. Drake May ended up seeing a down week because the Bills actually have one of the top run funnels defenses in the league. Offenses focus on taking what they will give, essentially, and it's typically on the ground on why this happens. I'm not worried about my top 10 quarterback, top 5 quarterback, upside, rest of the season guy. Buy him if you can, and if you need a quarterback, especially in 4-point passing touchdown, his upside is much better than some of the other passers.
All right, I think we just got the last game, the Chiefs versus Jacksonville Jaguars. Duval. Nobody would have guessed preseason that we'd be seeing the Jags reach 4-1 after a win over the Kansas City Chiefs. Trevor Lawrence T-Law matched his career high with 10 rushing attempts. Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. both came down with really big game-altering catches when they needed them both. That was really good to see. ETN appears to have a stranglehold on the backfield, getting 16 opportunities compared to Tootin's 5. Brendan Strange, though, going down on IR. Continues a rough year of tight end action. Over on the Chiefs side of things, one of the biggest hype threads of last week was Brashard Smith possibly getting more involved in this offense. Everyone was freaking out about it. That proved to be false. The coaches lied to us again. He saw only 4 opportunities on 9% of snaps. Maybe they leaked it just to piss off Hunt and Pacheco, as they ran for 7 and 5.1 yards per carry, respectively. And also your boy, old-ass Kelsey, led the team with 7 catches, gaining 61 yards and a score. But boy, does he look slow out there. Gosh.
He's the best corpse you got, all right? talking about Brian Thomas Jr., his first read target share came back down to earth this week. Diami Brown actually was on par with him, but he was T-Law's main target on the offensive side, the team target share. I think we just have to accept with Brian Thomas Jr. that one, T-Law is throwing him passes, so that caps his upside a little bit. But also, the Jags are a run-first team now, and it's probably because of T-Law. No offense, T-Law owners or people. They are 4th in the NFL in rush yards a game. They are top 12 in rush attempt percentage and 22nd in pass attempt percentage, on top of the Jags defense just playing absolutely phenomenal football this year. This hurts just Brian Thomas Jr. all around. For me, right now, he's a wide receiver 2/wide receiver 3 range rest of season, unless just something significantly changes on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe Brenton Strange going down helps him with more opportunities and more targets. Yeah. But I feel like it's just going to be really help Diami Brown, and maybe they get Hunter a little bit more involved in that situation.
That's fair.
Who knows at that point? But that's all we got for today, everyone. So if you like what you heard, give us a like and subscribe. If not, we just appreciate y'all hanging out. And as always, go steal a championship. We'll see y'all later.
Peace.